After testing the Pavotube lights for a couple of weeks, I was sent another one of those tube lights over. This is actually Falconeyes Irisa 1, an RGB 30 watt light. Of course, getting this does not phase my views on it in any way, shape or form, and no one has any saying in what I do and say in this video except me. So let's take a look at what you get when you're investing 150 euros into this tube light. First of all, the box is huge, much bigger than I expected it to be. Inside of the box there's another carrying case, which somehow seems to be a normal thing when you're ordering Falconeyes lights. Inside the carrying case you are greeted with lots of papers and a USB A to C cable, as well as the light itself. And the light is also very huge when I compare it to the other tubes that I have not only used but here in my studio. Here is a small size comparison of them. It's almost double the size. This comes down to it being a 30 watt tube light with a battery capacity of around 3200 milliamperes, which is roughly 1000 milliamperes more than the regular sized Iwata Master S lights. At a 100% intensity it can be used for around 2 hours, which seems to be accurate, and can be recharged within roughly 2.5 hours. If you are interested in more reviews, then consider subscribing and liking this video. It helps the channel actually conquering the YouTube algorithm. Thank you very much for considering. The light itself is splash proof, which is good for light rain and shooting near water. It looks to be built very sturdy, even though it is made fully out of plastics. The buttons itself are made out of a rubbery, squishy material that reminds me of old controller style buttons, but the click point is actually pretty good. The buttons itself are placed in a logical order, even though I find them a bit weird in terms of functionality. The red button of course means on and off. The circle button means going through the different modes. The forward and backward button lets you move through the menus itself, and the up and down buttons in or decrease the intensity. It is the same setup as most other tube lights. It feels very unintuitive, especially when you go through the different gels that are available, and it ends at the last one, instead of jumping back to the beginning and creating a cycle. If we go around to the back, there are 4 magnets, 2 on each side, which lets you pin the light to any metallic surface that you can find. They are very strong and the light is secured to the pinning area with ease. It has a 1/4 inch screw mount on both sides, as well as a USB-C as a charging port. And then there is something that I haven't seen in this price bracket of tube lights yet, a DMX in and out connection. If you're asking yourself what the F is a DMX connection, then I'm pretty sure you're not alone. This is a standard that is used on professional sets as well as shows and concerts to connect lights in a row and control them from a control panel. This makes controlled lighting very easy and possible, and I would have never guessed to see this on such a budget tube light. So actually heads off to Falconeyes. Now let's go through the different modes that are available. As always, you start with your normal CCT modes, where you can dial in the Kelvin range to set the warmth and cold tones of the light. There's also a GM level, and I actually haven't found out yet what that stands for. To my knowledge and what I've gathered so far, it seems to have something to do with changing the LEDs inside the lights. There are 32 for warm tones, 32 for cold tones, and 30 for the RGBs. And there's a super small light tonal shift, but it's barely noticeable. Next, we actually have different effects. 20 are included. It's the same effects as in every other tube light. You can set the scene, the speed, as well as the intensity. Then we have the pure HSI color mode, which stands for hue, saturation and intensity. The H goes around the color wheel in 360 degrees, saturation is how much color you mix into the white light, and intensity is how bright it is. It's the better RGB value system and easier to grasp in my opinion. And then there is the set RGB mode, where you can mix red, green and blue values to get a specific color. This is the good mode for when you actually know the hex code of the color you want. If you don't know it, then it's a bit wonky to be used. And then we got different variants of L and R gels. These are predetermined color gels that are used in films and are emulated through the RGB LEDs inside the light. So if you want to actually achieve a specific color look of a specific film you like, the potential to actually find the specific gel inside of the light is pretty high. And then finally we got something that is only interesting if you use more than one of these lights. You can specify different channels to different lights to make them more easy to control. In this case here, it can be up to 512 different channels. And now let's get into the app, which is called DSOL. It's the same app they are using for all the other lights, such as the Falconeyes F7 II, which I've actually also tested before. It's usable and, in my opinion, a much easier way to dial in colors quickly, as well as controlling the lights or actually multiple lights simultaneously without a DMX connection. Here are some more scenes that I've lit with the Irisa 1 for your viewing pleasure. And after that there will be my conclusion on the light. To TLDR all of this, this 150 euro tube light has, in my opinion, nothing that actually makes it stand out to all the other tube lights that are available on the market. Except it has a bigger battery size, which does not translate to a longer runtime. More output wattage, as well as a DMX connection for professional use. If this is something you are looking for in a tube light, then the Irisa 1 could actually be your next purchase. If you are someone like me, who is a YouTuber / content creator, which is not using that on a professional set, and you just want a nice looking, not too pricey tube light for your background or to highlight some of your next B-roll shots, then probably a smaller, more price sensitive tube light like the Iwata Master S could be an alternative. So thank you very much for watching. My name was Leech and I'm off writing the next script. I hope you actually enjoyed this review and got something out of it. And yeah, we'll see us in the next one. Until then, goodbye.